show is the founder of Grow Jackson, Jacob Inosencio. Morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good to be back. Thank you so much for having me.
So we are coming off of Arbor Day.
Yes, Arbor Day. It was awesome.
What does Arbor Day look like in your life?
So Arbor Day is a day dedicated to planting trees. The first Arbor Day, over 1 million trees were planted. And it's just an opportunity for us to acknowledge trees, recognize trees, and take a moment to reflect on why they're super important. And this is where everyone thinks I start sounding a little bit like a hippie, but trees are actually super important. They produce oxygen, they clean the air, and there's actually a ton of research on increasing the economic vitality of a community with a stronger urban canopy. It's better for cooling costs. It's actually better for crime rates and community health because the correlations with property values and lack of increase in shade, which is a decrease in heat. And we know that there's a tie between how hot cities are and how much violent crime there is.
Amazing.
So there's a lot of really cool stuff we can do with trees and being intelligent about our urban canopy design. And so the city's been super positive in supporting that work. And so as a member of the Environmental Commission, we added an urban forestry subcommittee. I believe we added. It could have existed before I was there, I'm not sure. But I'm involved with the urban forestry subcommittee, and we're working on a number of issues. But one of them is to get a Tree City USA certification.
Oh,
cool.
And Tree City USA is a nonprofit that goes through municipalities and says, here are the requirements for us to acknowledge that you are living up to the Tree City standard. There are 4. After celebrating Arbor Day, we now have our 3rd. This was one of the requirements.
okay.
Can you identify pretty much any tree?
Any tree, no.
Okay.
But this actually was my focus in college.
Okay.
Working with Grow Jackson, people always say, oh, you must know so much about farming. And my secret is actually, farming is not my background. Forestry is my background.
Oh.
Before COVID, I thought I was going to work for national parks and live in a van and pretty much live out the Chris Farley skit. But
Well, you think about when you started this, right? What, how has the mission changed? I think it probably grew more than you thought it was going to.
Absolutely. This was, I was living in
a van.
And I wasn't living in a van. I was living in an Airbnb in Mexico, actually, in Oaxaca de Juarez. And my best friend was finishing up at Michigan. He and I were living in Mexico. I was sort of studying for the LSAT, but not really. And that's what I told my parents I was doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Exactly. Hi, Mom and Dad. And, this concept for Grow Jackson kept coming back to me. We already had urban gardens here in the city, but I wanted one that was strictly focused on farming at the time. And so I moved home into my parents' basement. I started working at Veritas. And so what we thought was going to just be community farming has led to a tremendous collaboration between a multitude of nonprofits, has led to a ton of education. We're on track to work with over 1,000 students this year.
Wow.
And so we're actually in the process of rewriting that mission because what originally was just going to be growing and distributing food has been youth development. We're working on a program to hire formerly incarcerated individuals for community empowerment through that lens.
Beautiful.
And to use Grow Jackson as an internship opportunity for people in that community. And it has created this fodder for so many great discussions about environmentalism, about the intersection between protecting the planet and growing the community. Yeah. And that was actually where I got the motivation for Grow Jackson, was this environmental politics class. And I started thinking about conservation not through the lens of national parks per se, but clean water and clean air and fresh food access and healthcare access and good housing and good opportunities for employment. So it's all so intersectional and really brings up the community. And so that has kind of evolved and expanded to now being a career.
What I find interesting is the amount of groups and nonprofits that reach out and want to partner with you.
Absolutely.
I hear about more people partnering with you.
Yeah.
Out of the blue.
Yeah.
So that's got to mean you're doing really good things.
We feel really good about it. We actually have more people who want to partner than we have the capacity for right now.
Nice.
People always say to us, "Oh, we have space, or we have this opportunity."
Yeah.
And we have to be a little bit selective and say, what can we do versus what should we do? And I got that from the nonprofit network and really appreciate their expertise.
Yeah.
But so we've been really thankful for our partnerships with the King Center, with Rise Above, with Young People of Purpose, with Jackson Catholic Schools, now with Jackson Public Schools, and Segway and Andy's Place. But we're getting to a point where we probably want to just hold steady for a year or two really solidify the existing programs and the vision before we begin to add, because we really try not to overpromise and underdeliver.
Yeah, it's Grow Jackson, right?
Grow Jackson, yeah.
How can our viewers help you grow Jackson?
Absolutely. So growjackson.org/donate is a great way. We really can always use extra funding. Every dollar that comes in goes to teaching, goes to program support, and then goes to actually money in the garden for students. Okay. Additionally, volunteers. We're always looking for opportunities for people to come to the garden. We have a lot of weekend events yet this spring. We'll have a summer calendar coming out soon. That information can be found on our Facebook and our Instagram. We're just at GrowJacksonMI on Facebook. But we just want to meet people. Come out to the garden, even if you've never volunteered, even if you're not someone who feels like you want to do a lot of manual labor, come sit and talk to us while we work. We love that.
I feel bad asking this question because I was just in Disney where the largest amount of wasted.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How many people in our county are food insecure?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different definitions, right? You can look and say how many people are living in a food desert, and unfortunately that is very geographic, right? If you're living in a rural space, it's within 10 miles of a grocery store, you're not in a food desert. But most people in the county are not within 10 miles of a grocery store if they live in a rural space. If you live in an urban space, it's a half a mile. So a lot of our residents, even if they have the access, they might have to go further than we think they should to get fresh food. Many people also qualify for food stamps, about 70% of the county. Wow. So we have a lot of people who qualify for food insecurity in that definition under a variety of different lenses. So many of our students, unfortunately, because more students qualify for food insecurity definitions because they live with a food insecure adult.
Sure.
So it's higher among students than it is among adults in our community, as it is in most places. Yeah. So it's an issue we're working on, but raising awareness, increasing access to fresh food, and empowering young people to do something about it, right? To think about their food and to think about the choices they're making.
So you have these great gardens, you're farming, you're producing food, the kids are learning a lot from it. What happens to all the food?
Absolutely. So we have community farm stands that are self-serve, and we put them in the King Center and at St. Mary's. We're going to add one to Tomlinson Street this year. People can just come up and take what they need.
Awesome.
We're looking for new distribution models because we're dramatically expanding how much we're going to produce. Yeah. So stay tuned on that.
Nice.
We're exploring a CSA. We're exploring maybe selling some of it wholesale to some of our restaurant partners as a way to diversify our revenue streams. But we're always going to stick to the mission of making sure it's available for whoever needs it.
Yeah. Great things happening.
I'm tired listening to everything
It's a lot
Jacob's got going on.
Yeah.
We're busy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, congratulations on all the success. And
Thank
if
you.
people want to get an opportunity to work alongside you in your Carhartt overalls, they
Absolutely.
can just visit the website. So thank you
sure.
very much. Jacob Inosencio, founder of
Thank you.
Grow Jackson. More of the morning show. Dan Weaver next.